Hello darlings, it's Emma here, Timeless Cookery. I'm back again for a little Gaps Stories session to bring you hope and let you know that there's people out there who've been through really through the mill and had some rough times but have come out the other side using GAPS, the nutritional protocol that we all know. Miraculous differences it's making in people's lives. It's so exciting. So this story is from a lady in Australia. It says, I'm a naturopath. She says, I'm a naturopath in Australia. She doesn't give her name. It says, I'm 37 years old and for the last 10 years my health has taken a nosedive, steadily deteriorated despite my best adherence to widespread naturopathic regimes, generally high fibre, low saturated fat, high in whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables. In my 20s, I embraced vegetarianism for health reasons and particularly the well-known acid-alkaline diet. And I've been there. I did that too. I went vegetarian thinking this is the best thing to do. At first, you feel great. She felt great, but this only lasted a couple of months and then followed by the onset of severe irritable bowel syndrome, which worsened her menstrual symptoms as well. So her cholesterol level plummeted to 1.5 and she was told by the doctor that that was very healthy and it was obviously a reflection of the pure diet that she was on. It's not funny. Meanwhile, our efforts to conceive were not successful, which is heartbreaking, you know. So she was diagnosed with endometriosis, when you have cysts on your ovaries and things. So she was plagued with digestive problems and any amount of stress would make her feel extremely anxious and teary, and this was obviously exacerbated in the last days of luteal phase. Heck, I don't even know what that is. It must be something to do with your cycle, your menstrual cycle. Anyway, after having her daughter, she managed to conceive. I became very depleted and lost a lot of weight, and no matter how much I ate, I could not keep the weight on, and I became severely exhausted, and 8 months after the birth I succumbed to postnatal depression. My God, it couldn't get any worse, could it? And in the meantime, vaginal thrush became a regular occurrence, and I was advised by my then naturopath to increase fish and soy and to avoid all meats as I was estrogen dominant. So I started eating loads of fish and soy, she says. So imagine my surprise a year later when I was rushed into hospital for an emergency appendicitis. And I felt I'd been deceived, she writes. I couldn't understand how my colon could be in such bad shape when I had the best diet of anyone I knew. And then I started researching, she writes. She said she came across the Weston A. Price Foundation. And boy, what a learning curve that was. Everything that I'd learned in naturopathic college, professional courses and personal indoctrination went out the window. However, my digestion was far too gone to transition straight into a Weston A. Price Foundation foods, which are very rich, and you need to train your body to start to enjoy rich animal fats and proteins. Your body forgets how to digest them if you've been vegetarian for a long time, and then you eat a big slab of meat or something. Your body just rejects it and you just feel terrible and sick. So it makes sense, you know. So boy, what a learning curve she had. Yeah, she said she experienced a miscarriage and then that was the turning point for her. She said she was leaving all the nutritional dogma behind. She started to research and look at Weston A. Price more deeply. And while looking for a recipe for sauerkraut that didn't include whey, because she'd also become dairy intolerant, she came across GAPS Australia. And that was it. She had a eureka moment. So she set out to follow the program religiously. And in the first 2 weeks, when you do intro, she said it was hell. And yeah, we've all been there. When you're doing GAPS, you know, you go into it with all your best intentions and you're on your soup and your stew and you know, and you can sometimes get worse before you get better. But she did set out to follow GAPS religiously, and the first 2 weeks were hell. But then she was warned that might be experienced as you experience the die-off symptoms. But in my blinkered view, she says, I couldn't quite admit to myself the extent of my gut dysbiosis. Heck, I'd spent a small fortune on practitioner-only high-strength probiotics for years, she says. Well, let me tell you, she says, even while doing baby steps in the program, I experienced such exhaustion and flu-like symptoms that it really brought home to me the message. I was on a fast route to major issues unless I sorted this out. To cut a long story short, she says, I'm now a completely different person. She says, my husband, who was sceptical at first, has just started the GAPS program too, because he can see what a difference it made. To cut a long story short then, look, these are the benefits, she says. I've had the best digestion I've had in 10 years. I've got no more pain ever. I've got 0 PMS. I've got no more pelvic congestion. I've got a high resistance to stress, so I don't get anxious, even under great pressure. I sleep really well. I've got steady energy throughout the day. I can't remember the last time I felt anxious or palpitations. I've got no more thrush. And after an initial period of losing weight on GAPS, I'm now back at a healthy weight and not super skinny anymore. So how cool is that? She says, I know my health troubles are probably small compared to the very many families with children on the spectrum that the GAPS program has helped. But I want you to know that I'm so grateful to you. She's writing to Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, this lady. I'm so grateful to you. I believe you have given me and my family a second lease of life. So another success story for GAPS. If you want to learn more about the GAPS nutritional protocol, see me at timelesscookery.com, because in January we're starting to get going with GAPS group program, which means you can get all the techniques you need. I break it down into easy to digest, bite-sized pieces. You don't have to go and read the books and really study. I just give it to you all on a plate, literally, in a very fun, chop it up and chuck it in environment. You don't have to be a cook particularly. Yes, you need a saucepan. Yes, you need a kitchen. You need access to a kitchen. But I'll hold your hand for 12 whole weeks, because you can't expect these things to happen overnight. So we together in a group setting can every Sunday morning meet, even in your pajamas, on Zoom, and I'll tell you what's what. Then you can implement these new habits into your kitchen experience and start to see the miracles that GAPS can bring. See me at timelesscookery.com. Okay, bye.